Hunter chilling. We hope that Hunter to enjoy this year journey with we and things like that. What we carry Hunter across the sea for the Gullah Geechee Nation International Music and Movement Fest 2019, where we've been a Guine, Barbados. Or when we get there, Hunter chilling, you know plenty of time when y'all going Barbados, y'all probably going there because y'all think about the rum. Y'all ain't think about the drum. Oh, well, look, y'all. Plenty of Hunter children who go look on this year and things like that. Y'all probably say, well, great God, Daddy, the maypole. Yes, that thing been there, the drum be did it, the poetry, and we tune into this year evening with the Gullah Geechee family.
My sister here to do the introduction.
Okay, go ahead.
This is Brother Noel.
Are you speaking of the spiritual Baptist or something?
Yeah.
Hello. Because I asked them, do you do Russian, you do shouting, what do you do in spiritual? You don't know either one. Shouting. You do shout.
Hello! We
Not
shout.
like that.
But you cannot reach by beginning. Right. It's at the beginning and then reach.
Yeah, no?
Hello?
Yeah. But that's not the shouting I mean.
But
Musically. Spiritual dance. So y'all have that, the ring shout.
you do shout.
You do, right? That's right. Yeah. But see, there's other islands where they do shout, but they call it Russian.
Rushing.
Yeah, instead of shouting, right. So that's why I came here to find out what is it called here. Exactly. Right, exactly. Excellent,
I think
excellent.
you thought
Good
she
to
said
know.
Russian, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Russian. No, y'all got the wrong word in your head. Too much of that hearing on the news. Yeah, Russian. Yeah, Russian. Mm-hmm. And so who are you?
David Kamashang.
Another day?
Another David. Mr. Kamashang is a Pan-Africanist, but he's also our ambassador to CARICOM.
Excellent. Wonderful to meet you, Ambassador.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. So this is home. Yeah. What section of the island?
We are doing it.
Yeah.
Boy.
This is a
I
boy.
guess St. Thomas. But on the
St.
border,
Thomas?
on the border is St. Michael.
And St. Michael. Okay, so I had
Border.
students from both St. Thomas, St. Michael today that met me today at Queen's Park.
How's it visiting going?
It's been hectic, but good. Hectic, but good. So I'm looking forward to going inside so I can sit down.
Yeah. I'm sure they have a nice
Thank you.
little
So
show
this
for
is
you.
your work?
This is some of
This is gorgeous. White as the seagulls. These are really nice. Yeah, once I go in, I may come back out so I can get me a new ring. I wanted another ring. But I'd rather not shop with the paparazzi. I'll come back.
You want to share fun?
Okay, so is this the Colleton family that's related to Colleton County in South Carolina, correct, right? Yeah, so that's where as soon as I go back, well, they just drew up our Gullah Geechee Nation Appreciation Week proclamation for Colleton County. So right before I came here, the day before I left to come here, I presented in Colleton County. Yeah, there's a place called Walterboro, South Carolina, that's in Colleton County, and that's where I presented. So this is wonderful. Yeah, we got to come back and get all this literature you have. This is awesome. Peace and blessing.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Harriet. Harriet is the librarian.
Yes.
Oh, you're the librarian here.
Facilitator for the
Oh, okay, that's why you had the literature out. Right?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Text on the Barbados.
Wonderful. Yeah.
We're now about 5 years old.
I was going to ask you.
Basically providing a forum for persons who are interested in family research to share their ideas, their information, their problems and solutions.
Nice.
So we have presentations every other month.
Okay.
We have workshops. We have backstories. We actually had a backstory this last Saturday.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Okay.
Where we take people into the community so they can share their family history within the community.
Beautiful, beautiful. So the living oral history. And so do you document when you do the tours as well?
Yeah, well, we sometimes we do take videos, and of course we take the photographs and so on.
Photographs, yeah.
And usually what we do is to have historians. For example, on Saturday we had some person who working on a particular project within
Family
James
okay, in that area.
Families in that
Yes.
area. So they came, they met at the church, and they presented. So that will come out in a book later.
Later on.
Yes.
Wonderful. Because the first book I looked at was your Colleton book. I presented in Colleton County, South Carolina the day before I left to come here. And when I go back, I'll be picking up our Gullah Geechee Nation Appreciation Week proclamation from Colleton County Council. So these Colletons are those Colletons, I'm sure.
Yes, they
Yes,
are.
yes.
They are.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yes, look forward to talking to you some more. And we're going to come back and get some more literature. Because I know my guide was like, I've lost her.
sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us, facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won.
Minister John King, Minister of Creative Economy, Culture and Sports. Naval Greenwich, Consul General to Miami. Venezuelan Charge d'Affaires Alvaro Sanchez. Argentinian Ambassador Candiani. Dr. Kerry Hall, Director of Tourism Development, Minister of Tourism. Miss Alessandra Cummins, Director of the Barbados Museum. And of course, our guests of honor, Queen Quet, Chiefess of the Gullah Geechee Nation, and the official Gullah Geechee delegation, which I understand includes the nation's Minister of Information and distinguished guests from Trinidad and Jamaica. I welcome you all to this evening with we Gullah Geechee family. My name is Naila Aimoja, and I'm happy to be the host this evening. You would have noticed that after I got through those official notices, I slipped into that Bajan. Evening with the Gullah Geechee family, man. So, as much as this is going to be a formal event, we're going to make sure we have fun. We're going to make sure that we inject our natural, vibrant culture and that cross-culturalization, that cross-section of cultures, Barbados and the Gullah Geechee, in this evening's presentation. What you just heard in our pre-show presentation was, or what you just saw, was a presentation by the Phoenix Steel Orchestra, followed by the Barbados Landship. And those of you who are familiar with it would know that the Landship is a signature cultural icon for Barbados. And that was followed by the Haynesville Drum Call, which was performed by some youthful members of the Haynesville Group, which was established in 2006. They won numerous awards, and they've performed throughout the region. So I'd like you to raise your hands and give them another round of applause. Thank you very much. And I'd like to invite to the stage now Ongfa Wells, who is going to give a blessing on these proceedings.
And he took the dust of the earth and he said, let us create man. He breathed into the clay and the clay became a living soul. Brothers and sisters, let us stand. If we can stand together, that we may give thanks unto the Most High. Omnipotent, triune, ancient of days, Baba, El Shaddai. For seen and unseen mercies, O God, we give you thanks. For the purpose of the gathering, our family from South Carolina printed and our entourage. Oh God, we give you thanks for the reconnection of our spiritual, physical DNA.
Yes.
Oh God, building bridges that we may once again be reconnected.
Yes, yes.
Every vine and every fig tree. Holy Father, we give you thanks.
Thank you.
We give you thanks for the soul and the resilience within those African souls. Oh God, that even in this place, this bastion of cruelty, this epicenter of everything evil under a colonial system that is now transformed, oh God, by the resilience of your people as a center of learning, that we may rediscover tidbits of ourselves. We give you thanks, oh God. We give you thanks that those who have been carried even onto the isles of the sea and even onto continents, this is the generation that shall know the old cheek. Holy Father, we ask you to cheer our way. We ask you to send forth divine guidance, that we, the stock of Africa, that our lives may be guided by your divine purpose, by your divine love, and we may be fulfilled in our destiny, the restoration and the redemption of Africa. Beyond the boundaries of race, of gender, of class, of names and isms, schisms, we salute thee as divine. And all your children may come to know you in spirit and in truth. Amen and Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe. Ashe.
Ashe.
Please be seated. Except for you, Miss Cummings. I know I sound like a sweet teacher. I'd like to invite to the stage now Miss Alexandra Cummins, the director of the Barbados Museum, and she will officially welcome us to this wonderful evening.
For that welcome. Thank you, Oprah, for that prayer. Ministers, ambassadors, Unicat. May I say beyond that, all protocols observed, so that we may move to the main event, which is this wondrous opportunity to welcome you home. You and our colleagues from Jamaica and Trinidad, welcome home. We have this opportunity in this space to speak to the connections that bind us as people of the African diaspora, but more closely connected between people of African descent who would have moved or be moved to South Carolina from Barbados in the 17th century, and who must therefore be part of the root and the culture that developed there in the form of Gullah Geechee. So we welcome you home. We have this wonderful time in which we can visit together between South Carolina and Barbados, between Charleston and Bridgetown. Those are the colonial names for the space in which we inhabit and we express ourselves culturally. And I can only say that we have found a unique opportunity to ensure and enshrine exchanges and links that will continue to bind us and to grow stronger year on year. Thank you very much for the honor you have done us by visiting us. And thank you all for being in attendance this evening. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Cummings, for those warm words. The lady I'm going to invite to the stage next is known as Barbados' foremost gospel artist. I would say foremost singer, but the minister might come at me because... Yes. And I'm sure that when you hear her sing, you'll understand perfectly why. Singing a song, a Negro spiritual called Walk Around, I welcome to the stage Paula Hines.
Walk around, walk around, walk around with me. Just walk around, walk around, walk around with me. My soul is happy, and my spirit is free indeed. And I want Jesus Christ to walk around with me. Hold my hand, hold my hand, hold my hand, dear Lord. Hold my hand, hold my hand, hold my hand, dear Lord. While along this journey, I just need you, Lord, to hold my hand, be my guiding light on this journey, Lord. Be my guiding light on this journey, Lord. My soul is happy, and my spirit is free, free, free. And I want Jesus Christ to walk around with me, be my joy and strength as I walk, dear Lord. Be my joy and strength as I walk, dear Lord. Be my joy and strength as I walk, dear Lord. I need King Jesus Christ to walk around, walk around me, walk around with me.
I'd like to invite now to the stage to offer us an introduction to the Gullah Geechee Barbados Connection, Dr. Kerry Hall, Director of Tourism Development, Ministry of Tourism. Please welcome her.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. And I would also say protocol already been established. I'd like to welcome all of you here this evening, particularly my brothers and sisters from the Gullah Geechee. Welcome back home. I concur with Alexandra. Last time I saw you, we were in a vegetarian restaurant in Charleston, planning this big return. I have to be honest with everyone here tonight. I am a bit of a late entrant here with respect to the speaking lineup. But it was felt that because I was intimately involved in the entire production of the whole Gullah Geechee connection and the Carolinas connection in general, that Ms. Petra Roach from New York called and ordered that I speak on behalf of the team who went in and actually made this happen. First, I'd like to, on behalf of the Minister of Tourism, the Honourable Kerry Simmons, who unfortunately cannot be here this evening, sends his greetings. He's very sorry he can't come. He understands the importance of this connection, not just from a national perspective, from a touristic perspective as well, and he sees the possibilities, so he would like me to bring his greetings to you, and everyone here tonight as well. I would like to give you a little bit of a background on how this all occurred. And it happened from a broad-based touristic perspective where we look at Barbados as a tourism destination with a clear understanding that as a mature destination, there was a need for urgent rejuvenation, refreshment, reinvention. And we also have to showcase ourselves to the world past just sand, sea, and sun. We've heard that, we've spoken about that in terms of what modern day travel is looking for. But we also understand that in order for us to set ourselves apart from the rest of the world, we have to tell the story of Barbados, which is rich and compelling. We truly believe will fascinate the world once told. And a large part of the story is finding those things that are unique to Barbados. Unique that we'll be able to stand out and stand apart from our competitors around the globe. And one of the areas was indeed the Carolinas connection. There are many, many more, but I only have 5 minutes, so I will stand down from my usual verbosity and try to keep this right and tight tonight. The Carolinas was one, and before, when I became the CEO of the BTPA back in 2015, I've always been intrigued because I know the Carolinas, we've made several different attempts at the Carolinas connection for many, many years, led by Rhoda Green in Charleston, and I would like to pay homage to Rhoda tonight for her unwavering commitment to this cause. And I always wondered why we didn't get the traction that was necessary, particularly being the only colony to ever found a colony in the world. That was something quite huge. And I said, based on that first settlement, that 7 to 10 is estimated that 7 to 10 million Americans could trace their roots back to Barbados. I heard the stories about Charleston, the architecture, the culture, the food. You know, that you will go there and it's almost like a little piece of Barbados landed right there in America. But one thing that always intrigued me was there were these individuals, these people called the Gullah Geechee, that looked like us, spoke like us, they cooked like us, and if you closed your eyes and listened, you would think a Bajan was speaking, and that always captured me. So when I became involved in tourism, and I called Petra. Petra became the director of the USA. And I know the USA market, we always had a little bit of a challenge penetrating that market in the way we should. So I called her and said, Miss P, we have to go into America and we have to do things a little differently. We have to change the narrative. The same way we are in England and in Britain, we have that strong colonial ties. And the British love coming to Barbados. We're little England, we're more British than the British. They're our biggest market. We need to make that connection with the USA market, the USA consumer. We need to explain to them the rich history, the connections, what Barbados, the role, the fundamental role Barbados has played in assisting America in becoming a mighty force it's become globally. Barbados was there in its inception. The Carolinas, the whole George Washington story, etc. I don't think anybody knows. Lead with that, and let's see if we can make an emotional connection. And then I said the first order of business is that we have to go into Charleston. Let's take a second bite of that cherry and go into Charleston and see if we could regenerate the discussion and create that market for us here in Barbados. And I also wanted to understand Gullah Geechee a lot more than I'd known. So we made a plan, and we decided we were going to go back into Charleston and Bajan style and show them something they ain't ever seen before, right? And we rumbled into Charleston like a Cat 5 hurricane and really spread out. We talked to everybody, the mayors, the governor. We went on every radio station. We were, journalists were writing stories about us. We were telling the stories. We went to all of the attractions. And the Gullah Geechee aspect of it was extremely interesting because the first trip we went on, there was a conference speaking about the slave routes and the slave trade, and it was a very interesting conference, and we went and attended several of the sessions. And Petra and I went to a session that Queen Quet was actually facilitating, and she was a Cat 5 hurricane. We were just blown away by her passion, by the story we got that we didn't know. And we went up to her after and said, oh my God, we have to take you back home with us to Barbados. We are taking you back home to Barbados. Barbadian people need to hear this. I know we have focused a lot in terms of our history and our story on the Eurocentric side, but the time is now that we also focus equally on our Afrocentric side and tell the whole story, the good, the bad, and the ugly story. And I believe my Barbadian people are ready to hear it. When I look at all the NCF tours and bus rides, and there are hundreds upon hundreds of Barbadians, nothing before its time. I believe my people are ready now, and we need to know the entire story. So we discussed it with you. We came back up to you. We made a lot of plans to get you back here. We also spoke about the Gullah Geechee Music Festival, and we sent up Winston. And we really decided that this is an aspect, along with everything else. And if any of you have never been to Charleston, I would love to urge you to go to Charleston.
Yeah.
What I liked about it is when we went around to the different sites and attractions. Whereas in Barbados, we're not there yet. I'm trying to get us there. There's a measure of pushback, but I figured if you don't want to hear, don't look. And those who want to hear, look, we have to know this. When we deny the history of our foreparents, the blood, sweat, and tears that they shed for us, we are denying their existence and their contribution to our lives today. So it has to be told. When I was going to a lot of the different attractions, I saw that the story of the Gullah Geechee was being incorporated into the story of these attractions. What impressed me most, we were staying at this really nice hotel. Nick Petra got them to give us at a really crazy rate. And I wanted to get home this evening to get the water bottle. There was a water bottle there. And on the water bottle they had a saying, and it was a Gullah saying. And in this very, 5-star hotel, they were proudly showcasing this Gullah saying. And I'm saying, my God, in Barbados, and of course, it's Wana, and we talking, what we call rank Bajan, but it really isn't, because we see the Gullah people also use the same words we do. And I'm saying in Barbados, we tend to cry down the vernacular and our real, Bajan language. And here I was seeing it being celebrated as a part of the culture and heritage. And that impressed me a lot. I brought only bottle with me to remind me of where we need to be. So I just would like to welcome you. I would like to tell you how happy I am that this has come to fruition, that you've come back home, and that these linkages will now be a strong bond that will take us forward into the future, that this is only the beginning of this is not the destination, this is the beginning of a long and fruitful journey between the Gullah Geechee people and us. As we learn from each other, we continue to share, and as a person, I have on my tourism hat. From a genealogical perspective, we invite you all back home to Barbados to reacquaint yourselves with your roots, to learn about Barbados, to share and to, together take both of our nations to the next level.
Yeah.
So I'd like to thank you so much. I'd like to thank all of you for coming out. This is a wonderful crowd tonight, and I would like you to enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hall. That was a wonderful speech, and it resonated with me on so many levels. And I've been told not to speak for too long, so I can't tell you all, but maybe afterwards we can hook up and we can talk. Right now I have to introduce to you a young lady, an award-winning poet in Barbados. She's been described as one of the most beautiful women in the Caribbean. The fact that that description came from a comedian has nothing to do with anything. So I'd like to introduce myself, Naila Ayuja. Wow, like it was true. And just to show you, Dr. Hall, how much your speech resonated, I mean, I didn't know what you were going to say. I certainly knew what I was going to perform this evening. This is a poem called Ancestral Calling. And it was a poem that I wrote quite a long time ago, and it came to me. So the voice you're hearing, or that you're about to hear, and the melody came to me one morning, and I just wrote it down, and I've never actually forgotten it, so I don't really need to look at it, but I'm going to. It's called Ancestral Calling. I am calling, 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 through the miles, through the miles, through the mile trees growing, through the mile trees growing. Hear I voice, hear I voice, hear I voice, listen, 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 softly listen. I will not be refused, I will not be denied, I will feed, I will feed, I will feed, I will feed, I fire from my pot. I will mark, I will mark, I will mark, I will mark, in life's nail jumps, in life's fights, the scouring of thy sand in thy eyes, wear I scars with pride, sisters, wear I scars with pride. I will accept, I will accept, I will accept, I will accept, I sacrifice in the lost not to be found, gathered by the rivers of Babylon. I will not be refused, I will not be denied, I will guide, 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 I in the placing of a finger on the wrong book made right. I will guide, I in the placing of thy spirit to higher heights. I will make, I will make, I will make, I will make I will make thy presence known. I will make thy presence known in thy word. Prickly seed sown, immortality soon grown to hold the voice of I and I. I give, I give, I give, I give I Aishan's daughter, pure Aishan's daughter, burn Aishan's daughter, have Aishan's daughter, I and I and I and I and I and I and I give one love daughter, Sila. Thank you. And now I'd like to invite to the stage another esteemed entertainer, perhaps not as beautiful as I, although that would be debatable, Minister John King, Minister of the Creative Economy, Culture and Sports.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
Protocols already having been established. Like Miss Hall, I was surprised to see my name on the list to speak. But having the opportunity, I will take it. I want to tell you a story about an 11-year-old boy who, for some unknown reason, would steal away from doing his homework, to read books which had nothing to do with anything he was being taught at school, but to satisfy a burning deep inside of your soul that at 11 years old you have no understanding of why. I want to tell you a story of a young man working on a cruise ship, having the chance to go into a library in Los Angeles, being drawn to books and authors he absolutely knew nothing about, but for some reason was compelled to spend every cent in his pocket on these books. I want to tell you the story of a 25-year-old glued to a television set, wanting to reconnect with the British side of himself by watching a BBC documentary called Story of English. And in watching this Story of English, this young man came across two things that stuck with him all of his life since that time. One, having the narrator of this particular program speak to what we call the redlegs in St. John, and listening to them speak in raw Barbadian about being in St. John. And then having it cut away to a woman sitting on a rock who could be my grandmother. And her words were this: little boy, go and pick up that thing and bring him there for me. Then to be shocked out of my life when the narrator said, you would think that that was Barbados, but it was South Carolina. And I thought to myself, what? United States? So ever since that time, I've been intrigued with trying to understand the movement of these people. First, out of the African continent, into Barbados, from Barbados to the USA. And not by plane and not in the era that I grew up, but a time long before Barbados even became an independent nation. Those events that I mentioned to you were the events that shaped a thought in my head, which I said to the Supreme Being, that if there's one thing that I would want before my eyes close to be known for, it's for being a man who sought to bring the African diaspora together. I set myself that target as a young man. I don't believe in coincidence, but I have seen every possible thing that you can think of line itself up in my life to bring me to this point where a few weeks ago I was running through my head, how do I get this done? I mean, months, really. And the first thing I did is I sat down with some friends of mine, people who I bounce ideas off. And I thought, well, from the data that I've seen historically and things I've heard from my parents and other people, Barbadians may have, the majority of them may have come out of Ghana. So I had this idea, well, let's just reach out to Ghana and see what happens. And we did that. And while we were working on that particular project, I happened across on YouTube to see Gullah Geechee people. And that's where I first saw you, Queen Claire. And I thought to myself, but what is this? Why is all this happening at this particular point in time in my life? And why is it that I still have this burning desire to connect on a personal level and then on a wider level with all of these different people? And you know, if any of you spend any amount of time talking to yourselves, you're not mad. You keep the best secrets yourself. And I said to myself, you know, just like go with the flow. Whatever happens, that's it. But do your part. And I continue to go to YouTube all the time, looking for different stories, looking for different things, because it was not just about people of African descent. It was just about people. And the various people who have made Barbados their home at some particular point in time, and the various connections that we have across the globe. Because if there's one thing that I firmly believe in, that is the unity of mankind. It starts for me with ourselves being able to be comfortable with ourselves wherever we are. And so this evening, I too want to say to you, Queen Claire, and your delegation, welcome home.
Thank you.
It is important wherever people of African descent are. It is important in this designated decade for the people of African descent. It is time for us to connect.
Yes.
It is important that we connect not just for ourselves, but for our children and for the rest of the world.
Yes.
And so what happens here tonight is not by coincidence, my friends. There is always a divine order in which we are simply the players, but it works itself out. Believe me when I tell you, like Miss Hall, and like most of you here that I know personally, I am probably one of the happiest people you would ever meet in your life at this particular point in time. And I want to thank personally the BTA for being able to, without any prompting from my ministry, without any conversation with myself, start this process of bringing our people home. And I want you, Queen Claire, when you leave these shores, share with your people that Barbados welcomes all of you home. We look forward to even coming to Charleston to share with you those things which you do automatically because of who you are. But in some sense, and at some point in time, we don't understand why. I've seen on online, you have a storyteller. I believe her name is Miss White.
Oh yes, I believe it.
And I just have to say this. I saw her talking about her ancestors. And she said something like this. She said, Man, I remember when the ancestors tell me about the Bigfoot, you know? And they said I had the chicken in the yard. And they will call the white man the Bakra. Now those of us from Barbados know exactly where that comes from. We all do. We've grown up with elders who spoke exactly like that. And so the language will not tell lies. Your food will not tell lies. And your presence here this evening surely will not tell a lie. And so on behalf of the government, the people of Barbados, I want to thank you for taking up the invitation to come to Barbados. I want you to enjoy everything that Barbados has to offer, not as a tourist destination, but as a place where you can connect to and know that your roots are solidly planted on this land. And for those of you gathered here this evening, I want you to make this a special evening for the Gullah Geechee Nation as humanly possible. There's something about people-to-people relationships that politicians like myself and governments will never be able to do or accomplish. It is people-to-people that make the world go round. And it's important that whoever we are, that at some point in time, we reach out to someone. And it doesn't have to be your blood relation, but just reach out to another human being as a human being and make that connection. Because believe you me, and I can tell you this story, it's difficult, especially if you're a child, and you're in an environment where people look at you and make assumptions about you based on the color of your skin. Or throw insults at you going into school, morning and evening. For me, coming to Barbados, because I was born in England, has been that grounding, a connection with a root that has given me, John King, the confidence to stand anywhere in the world in front of any other human being and proudly say, I am a Barbadian. I want the people in Barbados who are actually born on this country, this little rock, dig into your history, because you have contributed to the world in ways that you sometimes do not even know how you've touched the rest of the world. And you continue to make a contribution, not only to this country, but to the wider Caribbean and other places by the people you've exported to other parts of the world. And if you do any digging, you will see from the highest heights in same North America, Europe, even some places in Asia, you will see a Barbadian connection of somebody somewhere. It is important, as Ms. Hall said, that we begin to tell our own stories. And it's important that we're in this theater space. I've had the privilege of being here to see Barbadian films and documentaries. And I want to thank Sir Trevor. I really do wish to thank you and your wife for being a part of making this what it is. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give them a round of applause. Let this be the place where we begin to tell our story. Let this be the place where we connect with the people of the diaspora. Let this be the place where after we finish connecting with our own, that we begin to connect with the rest of the world. And God knows the world needs us more than ever. Thank you. May God bless each and every one of you.
Thank you so much, Minister King. I'm afraid of asking this question. Actually, there's so many lights I won't be able to see your hands. Anyway, I was going to ask members of the audience to show me by a show of hands to indicate how many of you remember a show called Gullah Island? See, I can see some hands going up. Yes. Listen, yes, and people at the back waving, yes. And I have to mention this because of some of the things that Minister King was saying. And when Gullah Island showed approximately 20 years ago, I think it was. I'm younger than I look. I was obviously only 6 at the time. I don't know how I'm going to explain this story of being 6, but I was teaching. I was a brilliant 6-year-old, so I was teaching at the time. And I came across this show on our only TV station at the time, CBC TV-A, called Gullah Island. And I fell in love with this show because, as Minister King just said, here were these people based in some place in the States who sounded and looked just like us, just like our grandmother, our aunt, our cousins. And I was so thrilled by this show that I actually set it for homework I think it was Thursdays it used to come on. And every Thursday evening, I had to rush home to see it because I had to make sure I knew what was going to happen so that the next day, when my students came back and I asked them certain questions, they'd be able to answer them. And I just want to say that I know that there's a whole group of probably 30-year-olds, I don't know how they got so old, they're older than I am, walking around with that knowledge, with that awareness that there is a community, a whole nation of people who are connected to us by our ancestral calling. Those voices you were hearing, sir, ancestral calling. I would like to think, I can't see them, but I would like to think that our next act is ready. I'm happy to invite to the stage Dancing Africa. I'll say no more.
Don't bother to ask me why you're whining like if they from the silent. The middle of the party is where you will find me. I'm the pussy doing Dixie. Music got me tipsy. Oh, I don't know about you, but this is what we do. This is what we do. Festival in the air.
know Mike tells you that it wasn't supposed to be. I was backstage and I was dancing and I just kind of got carried away. The kids and I just like moved up the way and ended up right here. So forgive me. Oh dear, I'm slightly embarrassed. I'm gonna try not to be. I just got carried away. Like I said, you know, natural African Caribbean, Gullah Geechee.
Absolutely.
That's who we are, man. We're full of spirit.
Yes.
Speaking of spirit, the next brother, he'd probably be upset I call him a gentleman. Next brother that I'm going to invite to the stage has been singing, not this type of music, but calypso, for almost 40 years. He started when he was 2, as you'll see, because there's no way, right? Ladies and gentlemen, not wasting any more time, I'd like to invite to the stage and introduce you to my brother, Adonijah, singing a wonderful song called Personally.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Greetings. In the Imperial Majesty here, Selassie I Jah. Rastafari. I'd like to give a special welcome to Queen Quet and the Gullah Geechee family. One blood.
One blood.
One blood.
One blood.
Oh, Jah Jah. I give Jah thanks when I rise in the morning. Praises at night when I go to bed. Praises for each new day that is dawning. As for the pillow I raise my dread. 'Cause I know Jah. I know Jah. Personally. Oh Jah Jah. Personally. All of the things I see in creation, the sun in the day and the moon at night, I give Jah thanks in my meditation. I'm grateful for strength to do what is right, 'cause I know Jah. I know Jah, Rastafari, personally. Oh Jah Jah, personally. Yeah. Give thanks to the Father, the head creator. Give thanks to the Father, Alpha and Omega, oh yeah. Thanks to the Father, Alpha and Omega. Give thanks to the Father, earth rightful ruler, oh yeah. I have been here, I have been here, I have been here. Arise, O Jah, and let thy enemies be scattered. Burn them with flames of hotter fire. Oh Jah Jah, oh Jah Jah, oh. Now I feel that everyone, regardless of what you call your God, I call my God Jah Rastafari. Everyone should know their God personally. Rastafari, stay up.
Thank you so much, Adonijah, for that wonderful, wonderful song. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I have to invite to the stage our guests of honor, Queen Quet, and members of the Gullah Geechee delegation.
My spirit calls out. My spirit calls out. My spirit calls out to thee. My spirit calls out. My spirit calls out. My spirit goes out to me. They tried to break my will with their chains that weighed me down across the sea. They tried to break my will by taking me from my family. They tried to think that they could take what God had given unto me. But they only rooted me deeper in the spirit, you see. My spirit calls out. My spirit calls out. My spirit calls out to thee. My spirit calls out. My spirit calls out. My spirit goes out to me. Plant thy feet deeply in the sand. Make this strange place your own land. Live each day, taking a stand, ever reaching to touch the Creator's hand. My spirit calls out. My spirit calls out. My spirit calls out to thee. God bless on the children. You shall be. Then I'm going to tell them what to say. A long time coming. I sound cook say. I know a chair in the corner. Hey! Well, y'all ain't never sound cook over here. Yeah. Y'all ain't never heard it? Yeah. Well, you know what? Yeah. Okay, a few people in the back know what. The children up front, we have a London bar. They ain't ready for the chair, jackass. One of y'all would be back, y'all must be ready for the chair. These one y'all ain't want no chair, they want $1 bills. Oh, now they ain't with me. Okay. Well, look, y'all. Long time, it was. Sons, we were there. And things like that. And the former we ancestors. Their heartbeat teeth such a steady. Or 300 years. We're going to celebrate next year. 350 years. Chopped out. We'll celebrate next year. But look at all the decades, all the centuries. We want to celebrate as African people throughout the world. We the first people on this earth. We want to be the last people on this earth. Don't let nobody say they can take away from we what God give unto we. We be Bajan and we be Gullah Geechee. The word Gullah, they have one of the children for no that. When they carry you on, they want to take away the name Igbo, Mandinka, Malinke, Yoruba, Gullah, Geechee, Mendi, Tembi, Ifi, Ibibio, because that children want to know who we are. So they say, well, no, sir. Make them into slave. When I come from slave, when I come from African people who've been enslaved. We don't call one another slave, I think like that. Everyone was called we ancestors, thing. We strip one another of humanity. So how can we turn around and say, we want to celebrate with the United Nations too about human rights, celebrate the International Decade of People of African Descent, and we still not get away from calling we ancestors slaves? We redo the crime against humanity when we do that. We're African people. Our ancestors were Africans who were enslaved. Why were they enslaved? Not because they were lazy.
That's right.
Not because they were this N-word. N-word means lazy, shiftless individual. Individual. No race on it.
That's
so
right.
how we become people look like me? Look like a we. Ain't no such a thing, tall. That's why they could take the chain off your arm and off your leg and take, because they put them young. And once they got them young, they don't need them young. And don't need them young.
That's right.
Because you go going into the slave pen for your own self and call yourself these names, what is a crime? We ancestors are scientists.
Yes.
We ancestors were the first ones to write numbers,
Yes.
write letters, the hieroglyphs, Kush, libraries. There's a library here. How many of us read? I ain't talking about texting. I ain't talking about tweeting. I'm talking about truly turning what used to be papyrus, turning the pages. And if we ain't willing to do this so much for turn a page, I understand why some people call me ugly name. Because you have to be pretty lazy or shiftless not to want to do this much motion. Because reading don't take but this much in your eye move. And you're too lazy for make your eye move. But then I have a move for you. To hopefully come and take the chain off your mind that somebody else put there. They might have done when you get up pick it up. So you think eyes grow now, I know everything there is to know eyes black. So you can't teach me nothing about being black. Well, black is a color with the crayon box. So we might not teach you nothing about being black, but we might can teach you about who gonna die and things like that, and who gonna come from and things like that, and rather was seed cast out from one and land somewhere else. So ain't no such a thing that when I hear the Bajan, that I don't look around. And that's it, well, you don't look around for creating you the Gullah Geechee. I said that to my people though.
That's it.
So you talk about them for, what you say? Then I'll stop talking to me. I said, great God, I thought you could be from the Sea Islands. I said, they're from the Sea Islands, but you know who been bringing me to the Sea Islands and things like that? And you know what island we've been before that? We've been Barbados.
Yep.
Now, so we are talking about my people for. But now I wonder who in here when you get a Gullah Geechee say, what you talking about my people for? Or you say, oh, them the people cross the water. Or you say, what is a Gullah Geechee? That's probably what you say. So you go back to the night, you never say again, what is a Gullah Geechee? But you say, the Gullah Geechee the we.
That's it.
The Gullah Geechee the we family. Just like Barbados. Yeah, so wider than y'all call this your rock. We got a whole string of islands. Called the Sea Islands. Started in Jacksonville, North Carolina, wind up to Jacksonville, Florida, and run of us from there. There ain't enough for me in the Carter Times. There ain't enough. So you're going all the way inland to a place I hear they all got the same name over here, but we call them the name of the river, the St. John's River. Some people there in your front St. John's this evening. Oh, I say, yeah, a couple over here. Okay. So here we go. You can't have all these saints moving around everywhere where you go and ain't no blessing coming with them.
Come on now.
You can't have God, who it means people blessed by God, moving around and ain't no blessing coming with them.
Yeah.
That's why when the people take we from the motherland, what we call Al-Kibulan, what they write down, I got a cargo of black gold. They knew what riches they had.
Yes.
But they thought they put a little treasure chest on this island. But after a while, they said, wow, the chest is getting bigger. So we're going to need more chests. So they cast some, and then they put them over there on Sullivan Island in Charleston County, South Carolina, where over 40% of all Africans enslaved in North America came through. And then they said from there, they're going to take them to the peninsula and cast out a few more. And that's where you call the place Charlestown. Charleston, South Carolina. They're just like many of you. If you come to Charleston right now, they'll speak like this.
Yes.
You'll ask them, where are the Gullah Geechee people? I have no idea. Really, you don't? But when I walked up, I thought, what? You thought what? I thought I heard you speaking Gullah. Me? Oh, no. You might need to go to Beaufort County, go down there to St. Helena Island, find that lady they call the Queen. She could tell you about it. And they get to St. Helena Island, and the Yeti people are trying to teach us like they should things like that. And they tell the people, see that, they come in and say, well, good afternoon, sir. Will we help you? And so, are you going? No. You need to go back to Charleston.
Yeah.
And they do this up and down the coast all day, every day for the same thing that I know you say you want. But watch for what you wish for now. Tourism. The multi-million to billion-dollar industry now is heritage tourism. But unfortunately, African people have let others take our story, package it up, reinterpret it, and then sell it according to the way they want the heritage to be shown and to be seen. So I've heard, I ain't been here a good 24 hours, and I've heard the word pushback multiple times. And I said, well, if they push you back, you push forward.
That's right.
Because the truth is the truth, and the truth going to stand when everything else falls.
That's right.
It is true that our ancestors were the ones who were the cornerstone that built what you call the United States of America. And it is true that the ones who hauled those first cornerstones that now make the cobblestone streets in Chucktown that you call Charleston were first with the so-called British Lords Proprietors. They were the cargo that was dumped along with those stones. But there weren't enough of them because they would have depopulated this island if they kept teething them from young. So they start teeth them from young and they're going all the way back out to Bulan and get some more. And they didn't get ignorant folks.
That's right.
They didn't get lazy folks.
That's right.
They got people who were working and they kidnapped them even while they were working. Women first.
Yeah.
Because they said as we study them, the women work harder than the men. But then they realized after a while, to have a plantation, you got to clear the wilderness. So we want more hard labor. We want the muscle. So we got to bring the men. And guess what? We can't keep spending all this money ensuring this cargo that's fighting back now. This particular cargo be trying to jump overboard sometime. Or this particular cargo, I'm throwing some of my people overboard. We can't keep bringing them. But we need a new population. So we do need the men. We have them sear the women, make more of them, multiply them over and over and over again. If we were lazy and shiftless, who would want to duplicate lazy, shiftless individuals? I want to get rid of some I know now. I don't want to duplicate that. But it wasn't that. They saw the intellect. They recognized the skill set. They exploited the knowledge base. And they got richer and richer and richer until we have multi-generational wealth in places outside of the African diaspora. While Mother Africa cries and begs for help, and while we say to one another merely good evening when we pass on the dirt road or on the street. So when it rains, I feel like it's our ancestors crying. But when we came from Florida, they didn't cry sadly this time. they cried tears of joy. Tons of water fell as we left the Sea Islands to make it to Fort Lauderdale. Blinding rain. And I continued to drive for a while. And later Kwame drove and he continued to drive. And then we would get in the sunshine and I said to Elder Town, that's why anytime you see a storm, you keep going.
That's right. Go through.
Because the sun on the other side.
Yes, yes.
And as the song said, where we are, I prayed and I prayed. I prayed all night long. I prayed because my soul couldn't rest contented. My soul wouldn't rest contented until my feet touched this land.
That's right, that's right.
There's nothing in my life that was life-changing that came like that. There was always opposition. There was what you said?
Push
back.
Yes.
And I pushed on. So even when we got to the airport, they at first said it was an on-time flight. Then they said, oh no, your flight pushed back an hour. And as we sat there, talking, chatting, looking around, they said, well, you know what? You're too comfortable. Your flight pushed back 2 more hours. So instead of get there where you can see daylight and look at your people's face for real, I got there like it is now. And I said, it's okay. Because maybe I'm supposed to come undercover. Yes. Because when you're black gold, you don't shine too bright in the dark. So the riches can be smuggled in and they don't know you're there. So you see, we got in under the cover of night last night. Nobody really knew I was here until we hit the lights of the customs agents. But what did I see? A sign that said, Barbados. Not I, not Ambassador Key, not Consul Greenwich, not Sister Petra, not your cousin Carrie. She's my cousin Carrie now. Y'all can't have her back. She's my cousin Carrie. Okay? Not Sister Deborah. It did not say no one name welcome you. It said Barbados welcomes Queen Queen. All I could say was, thank God, we home. And it was a blessing that each person passing us and each person we passed was like, greetings, greetings, greetings. And I said, this your first time here? I said, my first time back. So all that's been said tonight is true, it's divine order. But it's time that we articulate truth. Not little children's television story versions of who we be as Gullah Geechee. See, they did that so the children would get indoctrinated a certain way. I never go to children's legends and storybooks and Nickelodeon channels to find out about Bajan people. I ask Bajan people about Bajan people. People that lived the culture, who had fought for this culture. When Brother Winston came to us in Charleston, we knew we could talk to him. And we knew that we would get the truth. As one might say, game recognized game. So, we've met nothing but truth tellers on the journey. And I pray that that is a sign that it is time that the truth tellers will bind our arms together, plant our feet deeply in the sand, make this strange world our own land, and live each day taking a stand, telling the story of who we be, that we be Gullah Geechee, Bajan, anointed Gullah Geechee people. So, I am a teacher at heart, a student perpetually, so I couldn't come here and hear all of what's been said tonight and not have some things to help with the process. So could our folks from the Historical Society, whichever representatives are here tonight, would you come up first, please? Nobody here? Oh, well, I keep my stuff down. There's nobody. You be in your building Gwen, you gone? Okay, give me the key, please. Somebody get me the key. I'll keep the place for she coming? Wonderful. And now, someone from the Historical Society and Museum. We have a representative.
That's right.
Yes, please. And we also have Ambassador King and Council Greenwich, please come forward. And Brother Winston, who directed traffic, please come forward too. So now, no one on the island has an excuse anymore, my sister, to say that they have to Google us. They don't just, I want you to keep watching Gullah Geechee TV on YouTube. That's gullahgeechee.tv. Will take you straight to the channel. I want you to keep watching it, because we only put people who are authentically Gullah Geechee on Gullah Geechee TV. All right? But what I just said a little while ago, it don't take much to do what?
Turn the page.
So when I heard you talk about all the money you spent, I said, I know the feeling. You might have heard me say that. But these I wrote. And this is just some of them. And I'm leaving these here for the library, here at the Museum and Historical Society. When they start getting the Black History pages, somehow the machine break. And then when they fix them, they forgot that part was printed, and somehow it jumped, and then we left out the book. So I said, well, okay, that machine don't work. So I can make my own machine, and I can write we story, and we can publish them. Okay? So here's a Gullah Geechee history book. So the whole island can share those. And we're going to send sets back to the schools, the 6 schools that visited with me this morning. All right? The brethren who been with me since early this morning, and who was with me last year, so we were reunion in Charleston, I couldn't help but give you this one personally, Brother Winston. Tell them the title.
Thinking about family.
Oh, yeah. Thinking about family. And I know when you finish reading, I will get an email to say, Queen, you've been from Barbados before and you're right about us, right? You're going to see something, you're going to say, yeah, I know these people. Just don't tell if it's a council branch. Don't tell no. I've been teasing Council Greenwich since yesterday this time. It was an awesome welcome, an awesome greeting in the airport from him. I was standing on this side of him, and he kept looking at me, talking to someone for at least 5 minutes, if not 10. He had no idea I was right here. And he was giving a whole lesson against being Willie Lynch. And I'm like, all behind his back. Other people is looking in the airport like, the man wants to see the lady. And he was going. And another lady started trying to get his attention. I looked at her like, and I'm going to see how long he talked. And he finally did this, and when he did this, it was all over. All right? I'm sure that they tweeted our pictures all over the world for the hug he gave me. And he held on. And I said, yes, it was like long lost family reunited for true. It's a blessed truth. For true. Y'all know how family do. They don't ask you for use your things, right? They just go tear your things out your house and bring them back for them on and all that kind of thing, right? So, you see that flag there? That are yours. But we gonna use them till we leave it. And then, but Ambassador King, Minister King, I keep saying Ambassador King to you because I first met Ambassador Michael King. Right? So I keep going with Ambassador Minister. Because y'all got the ministries of the ministries of the ministries in the Caribbean. I am so used to saying Ambassador Michael King, and I had to get used to Minister John King. And he ain't sing for me yet, but I know he can sing for me.
Yeah.
So I hold this flag will hang in your pocket and inspire you. Because if you see right here on the Gullah Geechee Nation's flag, that the center human bodies intertwined. It is an African family tree. This is how family trees were originally made. It looks like the bow wow tree that I'm going to tell you in my heart, the queen heart, right? It looks like that, but it's human. It is all of us who are inextricably tied together. The Bajan family is in the center there with our family from the motherland. We can never be separated. That is why we're here. Even when people thought they cast us around the world, our ancestors knew God would bless this day. We'd stand back here together. So whenever you both look at this flag in your offices, you can be reminded that your work is continuing to add more leaves to that tree, more fruit for future generations. That definitely, as I always say, one of us take care of the root of the and we young, but take care of this your root. What other people say, we don't dig up. Ain't such a thing. Because we did here this evening. And God bless Hannah Chilla for all what Hannah to do. And thank you to all the family out there. This is Petra and she love y'all. Thank you for having me. We want to let you know we got Elder Carlton, our Minister of Information, with us. We have Brother Kwame Shaw, who co-founded the Gullah Geechee Nation International Musical Movement Festival. He represents the Mississippi Gullah Geechees. We have a sweetgrass basket maker with us. She's been so excited right here. Sister Anastasia Kitchens, who is out of Charleston, also in the Mount Pleasant area. We also have Sister Sharon Marion, who is a native of downtown Georgetown. So that's a direct line back here for her. It's a homecoming. We have Puma, good white Kennedy, also from St. Helena Island, like a bee down in Beaufort County, South Kakalaki. We all be Gullah Geechee and things like that. And we are so pleased to be blessed to be here with you tonight. I want to thank everyone who presented tonight. I saw it on the list. He said, we didn't finish, we have something else to present. He think he can only show one on the stage. I just want to thank the people you mind. I want to thank them because from the beginning, when I watched them coming out, I'm like, oh, they got to teach me about, they are a ship. They're moving. They're landing the ship. They got to teach us this dance. You got to bring them for the reunion in Charleston. And then the last group, when I come back to Barbados, y'all won't know I here till y'all see me out in my costume with them. I don't think that this is what we do. What? I said, oh, wow, that's my group. I join it. All right? So it has been awesome. The music, the songs, the blessings have been raining down on us at the table. I don't know if y'all got this statement, but I had to tie my mule. Y'all ain't know that one. Okay, well, I had to tie my mule tonight, okay? So that he wouldn't run around while I get up and shout, but I had to tie my mule to hold myself down in the seat because it was such a blessing. And I didn't want you all to think that the Queen was out of protocol, you know, because I do know y'all are very more British than the British, and they're very demure. So I did not want to get up and start shouting and dancing and then, you know, the media headlines tomorrow, oh my God, what kind of queen is this? You know, so, you know, I stayed there comfortably. But truly, I wanted to get up many times tonight, shout, dance, and share. Thank you, MC, my beautiful sister. Love you. Come on. Yes. You have done an excellent job. If she can be the most beautiful woman in the Caribbean, I'm now the most beautiful woman in the Gullah Geechee Nation. She said you always were. Yeah, so love all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you all, everyone who's done anything to make this homecoming such a beautiful success.
Our special guests, our dignitaries, are gathered here on the stage to make this special presentation to Queen Quet. I believe that the minister has the object d'art. I have it here. I'm about to read it. You're messing with my flow, Oscar.
They all think it's yours.
I don't understand. I don't understand Queen Quet. We have to talk to them, yes?
I know. We go pray for them.
Don't get me started now. This wonderful piece of art, which was created by artist Wayne Onfra Wells, is called Keeper of the Culture. It's a collector box, and it presents a matriarch as the keeper of the traditional culture of her people, the preserver of our community. And it is our great honor to have Minister John King present this to you, Queen Quet, on behalf of all gathered here and the people of Barbados. The item is made of Barbados mahogany and cowrie shells, and as I mentioned before, was designed and created by our own Ankra Wells. And Andrea King, sorry, no relation to John King. Andrea Wells, who is the Chief Cultural Officer of the National Cultural Foundation, also has a presentation to make to Queen Quet.
We'll try to tell me I don't know your language.
Only that our language is so close to me.
Isn't it?
Yeah, you want to make sure you have one for your language.
Excellent. Tell them why did I say that? Tell them what the title is.
The title is Dictionary of Caribbean English. It's a copy of Richard Alsop's Dictionary of Caribbean English Usage. The common vernacular of our language is actually included in here. This is the National Cultural Foundation.
And they told me there's $1 million check in here from Council. Thank you once again. One more announcement. Y'all might have wondered why are these hanging on both sides? And like my mother might say, and now with all the heat, they're hanging like a dog, yes. All right? But this is actually an exhibit that I curated to show the connections between you and us. So before you leave up, please make a trip by. You'll see that our flags have the same color schemes. You'll see that there's a bunch of sayings here, how you say it, then how we say it. There's also more of the history on this side with the food and everything. So we didn't think it would be appropriate to be here tonight in this space and not also exhibit truly educationally for everyone to see who we be, and we be Gullah Geechee anointed people. Thank you, thank
you. Queen Quet, thank you so much. I sense that we spiritually connected, you know. We're going to meet up this weekend before you leave out, right? And we're going to party.
Definitely.
Don't mind that laughter, they're just jealous.
I know.
See, you're laughing.
They'll be all right.
And just when you thought that things were over, I have a young man who's been described as the most handsome man in the Caribbean. No, I just think that's not true. Although some will say he is. But he's certainly one of the best known folk singers in the Caribbean. And so without further ado, I'd like to invite the mighty Gabby to the stage.
Hello, good evening everybody. I know you won't believe this, but I just wrote this. Gullah Geechee is we, Gullah Geechee is we, Santa Carolina, up there in America. Gullah Geechee is we, Gullah Geechee is we, Santa Carolina.
So welcome Gullah Geechee. Welcome Gullah Geechee. Welcome Gullah Geechee to your country. Gullah Geechee is me. What you say? Gullah Geechee is me. Send the Carolina. Up there in America. Gullah Geechee is me. Gullah Geechee is me. So welcome Gullah Geechee. Welcome Gullah Geechee. Welcome Gullah Geechee to your country. Welcome Gullah Geechee. Welcome Gullah Geechee. Welcome Gullah Geechee to your country. I'm running about 2 minutes to go back.
I go and copyright that one.
What a terrible trip across the Atlantic. Back like sardines in the bottom of a slave ship. And if the ocean start to roll, overboard we had to go to lighten the ship to save the special cargo. All of you sailed across the Atlantic and finally reached a Caribbean shore. Had no idea that the sin of the trip would now begin. The pain of the whip brutalized with skin. Oh, 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 oh. I pray for my ancestors. I pray for my forefathers. I pray for my ancestors. They had to face too much horrors. Oh, 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 oh. All of you sailed across the Atlantic and finally reached a Caribbean shore. Had no idea that the sin of the trip would not begin. The pain of the whip brutalized with skin. Oh, 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 oh. I cry for my ancestors. I cry for my forefathers. I cry for my ancestors. They had to face too much horrors. Oh, 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 all of you sailing across the Atlantic and finally reached a Caribbean shore. Had no idea that the sins of the trip would now begin. The pain of the whip brutalized with skin. Oh, 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 oh. They treat us so bad, but we keep on singing to deal with the pain the master was bringing. We worked the fields by day and night, in the sun and in moonlight. We had no justice, master gave us no rest. I say, oh, 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 oh. I pray for my ancestors. I pray for my forefathers. I pray for my ancestors. They had to face too much horror.
Black people crazy. Black people have no ambition. It is obvious that they're not in touch with their history. To them it's a mystery. Who or what is the black contribution? So in this song I will attempt to make a little dent, add a little accent, give light to the things black people discover and invent. I say focus on great black achievement. We all know Hannibal crossed the Alps. The record shows he was looking for Roman scouts. You know he used the guns and the Spaniards, the elephants to capture the land. But they won't tell you Hannibal was a black man. I see them don't criticize what you don't know. And don't you nail me to the floor with no black blood. And don't you bury me in the proverbial coffin and tighten the screw. Black man contribute much more than you. It is true. It's so true. In the dictionary, a little lie is a white lie. Big lie is a black lie. And still they can't tell the reason why. Definition for extortion is simply blackmail. You know on the blacklist. A black day in your life they insist. And if you're selling goods illegally, that's black market. And if you get catch, you need a good white lawyer to get you out of it. I mean, pull you from down in the pit, that pit. You hear them raising and praising King Solomon, saying he was the wisest man to rule any nation. But when he said, I am black Macaulay, he said that part they can't understand because they don't want you to know he was a black man. Don't criticize what you don't know. And don't you take me to the floor with no black cloth. And don't you bury me in the proverbial coffin and tighten the screw. Cause black man contributes much more than you. Yeah. No, it's true. In the history of Homo sapiens, it is certain no other human will match the record of the black man. He's creative, inventive, talent is astounding, compelling and bounding. He gave us guitar, lute and mandolin. And when he had established great kingdoms and communities, then people were still cannibalistic and living in mountains, caves and trees. I mean like the apes and the monkeys, if you please. They could quote everything Chris Columbus do. You see, he sailed this way in 1492. They could name his boats like the Nina, the Pinta, and Santa Maria. But they cannot tell you he had a big black navigator. That's why I don't criticize what you don't know. And don't you nail me to the floor with no black blow. And don't you bury me in the proverbial coffin and tighten the screw. Black man, contribute much more than you. Black man, black man, black man, raise your hand, raise your hand, proud black man. Tell Sir Walter Raleigh at Francis Drake 3,000 years forgive the past. It's time to reparations, and we'll get our freedom at last. Thank you.
There's one more thing we have to do, well, really two things. I have to say thank you to a few people, and then we have one more person that we'd like to come out to close the show. And I'm doing it this way because I think that his images and his words are what should be left with you at the end of this experience. So, we'd like to thank the Barbados Tourism Marketing Incorporated, particularly Gloria Carter, Marketing Officer of the BTMI. We'd like to thank him, forgive me if I've shot down protocol, yeah? We'd like to thank also the Minister, all other honorable guests for joining us. Of course, Queen Quet and your delegation, we thank you for gracing us with your presence in Barbados, not just here, but in Barbados. We'd like to thank the performers. We'd like to thank Mr. Neville Greenwich because we understand that without his efforts, this visit might not have been the visit it is. I may have forgotten people, but that's not my fault. I'm going to firmly and squarely place that on the shoulders of the last person that I'm going to thank, and that would be our producer of tonight's show with Steve Farrell. If I've forgotten anyone, it's because he hasn't told me. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. Some of you might not know that Winston Farrell is one of, actually as far as I'm concerned, the top spoken word or / performance poet in Barbados. And as I said, I wanted to say my thank yous. Well, I forgot to thank you guys. So-called ordinary folk. Thank you so much for coming. I know you were all invited, so some of you felt that you didn't have a choice, but we're grateful that you took the time out on this Friday evening to come. But back to Farrell. Top poet in Barbados, and as I said before, it's his words that I think you should be left with. He's going to perform for us tonight a poem called You've Come a Long Way.
Greetings. Drop the track, selector. Bring. Pump it up, selector. We've come a long way through winding roads, the great white sand in our eyes, our shoulders laden with trials. Hope leads us on into great clouds as pounding rain seeps through our skulls. We've come a long way naked, craving for the bread of life, long thirsty, dried by the singing slap of sun, souls angry, crying in the wilderness of death. We've come a long way from the curling lash, the master's whip sliding across our backs like a snake. We've come a long way from the logic of the white man, from the ignorance of our black brothers, merciless tears gone from our wrinkled eyes, black wanderers in the graveyard of terror. We've come a long way, so I will raise my hand and shout, "Sure!" We've come a long way, so I will raise my hand and shout, "Sure!" Words will not strangle and die between my teeth. I must speak, for we have come a long, long way. I must speak, we all must speak, for we have come a long, long way. Let's give thanks to praise. When I say Gullah, you say Geechee. Gullah.